When Americans turn to the issue of rights, most of us go directly to the Declaration of Independence and cite the following. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But as corporate executive Mike Rosen once opined in the Denver Post, the pursuit of happiness is not the delivery of happiness. Rights are not something that government doles out. They are, as Thomas Jefferson so eloquently said, endowed by a creator. These rights are natural liberties. That is, if your right to access health care steps on my right to provide it or not, we're no longer talking about liberty but coercion. Mike Cannon of the Cato Institute puts it this way, quote, the fundamental problem with the idea of a right to health care is that it turns the idea of individual rights on its head. Individual rights don't infringe on the rights of others. A right to health care, however, says that Smith has a right to Jones' labor. Senator Rand Paul elaborates on this by saying, quote, if I'm a physician in your community and you say you have the right to health care, do you have a right to beat down my door with the police, escort me away, and force me to take care of you? That's ultimately what the right to free health care would be. If you believe in a right to health care, you're believing in basically the use of force to conscript someone to do your bidding, unquote. Healthcare is a thing, a commodity. It's an exchange of medical services for payment. If we start heading down the road of declaring commodities as rights, we open a socialist spigot that may never stop flowing. Some claim that the right to healthcare is ethical, but expanding on this, do we then have a right to food and shelter? If so, that means I have a right to force you to buy me a Big Mac and a condo in St. Petersburg. And when we traverse our way down that bunny trail, we find that instead of bestowing rights, we're really in the business of taking away liberties.
About 70 years ago, the World Health Organization laid out the following statement. The enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being without distinction of race, religion, political belief, economic, or social condition. For me, that is the meaning behind healthcare is a human right. The freedom to obtain necessary healthcare without being held back by financial bonds improves the lives of everyone in our society. When our society is healthier, it is more successful. I think the more important question is, why are there barriers in the way of obtaining healthcare? Who benefits from that? Big Pharma, of course. They can make more money on prescriptions. For-profit hospitals and insurance companies also profit. In 2019, United Healthcare, one of the many health insurance companies in the United States, reported $2.6 billion in earnings in the second quarter alone. Charging people for their health care is big business. So is denying it. Pre-existing conditions, a term invented by health insurance companies, enables them to pocket billions of dollars from premiums paid by customers. Those customers then do not receive the medical care that they need. By expanding Medicare with a Medicare for All system, we would take the money we're already spending in premiums, estimated to be about $30 trillion over the next 10 years, and expand Medicare for everyone. No additional money would be needed. Healthcare is a right and a necessary one. Preventing it from being treated as such only helps insurance companies and for-profit healthcare companies make more money.
My liberal friend begins with the following point. When our society is healthier, it is more successful. Hear, hear, I couldn't agree more, but we differ in how to best attain that goal. Ethan largely bases his suppositions on the tired leftist narrative that big pharma and for-profit hospitals are essentially the Antichrist. But it is this capitalist system that has brought about the most sought-after healthcare system in the world. It's far from perfect, but you don't see Americans lining up in Canada for an MRI. It's really the other way around. And why? Because capitalism breeds innovation, and innovation fosters outcome-based solutions that can be taken to market. Statistics show that for-profit hospitals on average provide more than 5% of their operating budget to charity care each year. This isn't chump change. And your suggestion of taking the insurance premium money and conscripting it to a Medicare for all government program will leave Americans with no choice whatsoever regarding their health care. When the consumer has no choice, healthcare liberty is annihilated and we all lose.
While I do appreciate Lisa's attempt to reframe the narrative, it's not my suggestion that we take the $30 trillion that we will spend on healthcare over the next 10 years and give it to Medicare instead of giving it to private insurance companies. That is the plan, the Medicare for All plan, proposed by Bernie Sanders and proposed by Elizabeth Warren. Second of all, the idea that this would somehow be limiting to the choice of healthcare available either ignores or completely misrepresents our current healthcare system, in which the only people who have options or choice are those who have access to healthcare. A Medicare for All system, as proposed by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, would give that Medicare for All money to all hospitals. Therefore, anyone could go to any hospital and see any doctor for any problem. How is that limiting of choice? I don't think it is.